I don't have a very set strategy on how I'm dealing with it. For me, the biggest teacher has just been repetition and going back to those calls. I had some mentors call me out early on about what I should be doing and about how I acted. And that has helped me a lot, being able to take that feedback and just really consciously controlling it. And now, like, we still get amped up. We still, get that adrenaline rush, but it is a job. And I've done it enough times where it's not quite, it looks really intense, but it's not. This is, people think a helicopter is a big deal. I get in that all the time, and it's just not a big deal to me anymore. Same with a lot of these emergency scenes. So it's not a super helpful piece of advice for your listeners, to say repetition, because the reality of these situations is that if you aren't doing this as a career and you just want to be a more prepared individual and have this knowledge base, you're not going to see it every day. You're not going to see it every week, every month, every year. So you're not going to get that repetition, and you might find yourself in these stressful situations and come away from it and beat yourself up and say, oh man, I was a tool back there. I was yelling. I was panicked. And I think the best thing I could say is just be kind to yourself. And if you're trying to help and you have some knowledge and you're trying to implement that, even if maybe it wasn't perfect, maybe you did something a little wrong, be proud that you helped and try to improve the next time in the next couple years you see that. Try to take those lessons to heart and just really focus on taking a breath, taking a pause. We call it a tactical pause, and just freezing for a second. You've got a lot of stuff to do, but organize it in your head and move on from there.
So it's a great answer, because I'm a big component of, you'll fall back to the level of your training rather than what the fall to the level of the situation. And it's, like, if you've at least got some understanding of like a system to check somebody, not to run across the road until you've checked for traffic, and or how to get out the way or help the paramedic or whatever the situation is. At least you're kind of opening up people into this sort of thing. And I mean, there's ways you can learn, like trial a bit, like train up to a certain level. But I mean,
Right.
hopefully we'll never need it, but at least it's there. And I think that's the great thing about it. But I mean, my brother-in-law works in, like, he's a gas turbine engineer, but part of what he does when he's home on his offshore is he works in the mountain rescue service. And we get a lot of people, because we're in the Highlands of Scotland, who start at the bottom of a mountain and they're like, oh, that's nice warm. So they've got jeans and a t-shirt on. They don't realize as they ascend, it's going to get colder, and before they know it, the weather can change and they're soaked through, not got walking boots and all that kind of stuff. Do you find, like like we were talking about earlier, about, like, people, situations where there's not a traditional medical infrastructure, you know how do you find it's people's stupidity in a way gets them into trouble a lot of times? How can we make them realize it's like to prep for it, to understand, hopefully you'll never need it, but just have something like a GPS watch, have a
Mhm.